Now on Denver 7 News.
We are not done yet. There are more cities on our list.
The governor of Texas is sending migrants to sanctuary cities across the country, including Denver.
I don't know how more inhumane you can be than what they're doing.
We hear from local officials on how they plan to make sure there's a safe arrival for everyone coming to our city.
Plus, a daycare center out thousands of dollars after a contractor took their money and ran, leaving a shoddy job behind.
It's very heartbreaking. He didn't even have the heart to think about the children.
Denver 7 tries to get answers from the company.
And
we're going to have a lot of fun. We got an amazing team. Broncos country, baby. That's right.
Broncos country's new catchphrase is here to stay as Russell Wilson signs a new contract. And good evening again. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. President Biden touched down in Philadelphia today, where he will give a speech on what he calls the continued battle for the soul of the nation.
Now, the tone of his speeches have sharpened recently as firmly denounced former President Trump-led extremism, calling it a direct threat to our democracy. So he's expected to start speaking at any moment now, and we will keep watch. You can see the podium there as we wait for the President Biden.
So again, he's going to talk about extremism in his Soul of the Nation speech. So our news team will be watching this speech in full, and we'll break it down for you completely on Denver 7 News on Local 3 at 8 and Denver 7 News at 10.
And now to other news we are following tonight. 75 immigrants bused from Texas by Governor Greg Abbott. They're now in Chicago tonight.
Now, this is part of a strategy launched this year to share the influx of people coming into the U.S. with sanctuary cities across the country to protest President Biden's immigration policy.
Denver and Aurora are part of that list, and Denver 7's Amy Wattis is here to break it all down for us. Amy, we're hearing from Mayor Hancock on this issue.
Ann and Shannon, yes, we are. And while Aurora's mayor did not have a comment, Denver's Mayor Michael Hancock told Denver 7 Texas Governor Greg Abbott's strategy is inhumane. Governor Abbott says President Biden's inaction at the southern border is overwhelming Texas communities, saying it is putting the lives of Texans at risk. He went on to say that sending migrants to other cities like Chicago will help provide much needed relief to Texas border towns. While Mayor Hancock says he has not seen buses carrying migrants from the southern border into Denver just yet, he says if that happens, he will welcome them with open arms.
I don't know how more inhumane you can be than what they're doing. At the end of the day, we'll demonstrate humanity and compassion here, but I think it's extremely important that the federal government deal effectively with a governor who simply seems to have a bias and inhumanity embedded in his heart without being able to see and look at these individuals as human beings. It's really unfortunate.
Now, I talked with International Rescue Committee, a Denver organization that provides services to people like immigrants who need protection and help getting settled in the community. We will hear more from them tonight at 8 on Denver 7 News on Local 3 and at 10 on Denver 7. Back to you.
All right, Amy, thank you. And Colorado became a sanctuary state in 2019 when Governor Polis signed a law protecting a Colorado resident from federal overreach. And there are also several counties in our state that have become sanctuary counties. The Center for Immigration Studies has a map tracking all sanctuary counties and cities all over the country. And you can see there are several such counties right here in the metro and up in the high country.
I understand that our staffing is down. I understand that community trust is also at a low point, and I'm committed to fixing those things.
East Division Chief Ron Thomas making his promises to the Mile High City as he's on his way to becoming the head of the police department. And this comes after Chief Paul Pazin announced his retirement yesterday after nearly 3 decades on the force. Thomas himself has spent more than 3 decades with Denver Police. Now, Denver City Council still has to approve his nomination, and Thomas will have less than a year to serve under the Hancock administration before a new mayor in Denver is elected next year.
And Denver's Citizen Oversight Board acknowledged the challenges facing the Denver Police Department over the last few years. We spoke to a board member, Al Gardner, today. He says Acting Chief Thomas should prioritize recruiting and retaining officers. And next, he says it should be about building community trust.
I think that Chief Thomas is going to have to come in and really look strongly at the culture of policing, right? The culture of DPD here in the city. And he's going to have to be willing to challenge that, be willing to challenge the status quo, and really be willing to remake that.
Gardley says that can be done by being more transparent. The board also acknowledges not all problems will be fixed by Thomas and will take an effort by all city leaders for any meaningful change. In Weld County, a construction worker barricaded himself inside a truck near the town of Nunn. Law enforcement says the man took the truck from his employer, crashed twice before they say he stopped, even sideswiped a train. Eventually, officers deployed tear gas, approached the vehicle, and took him into custody.
New at 6, the CDC has authorized new booster shots from Moderna and Pfizer. They will specifically target the BA4 and BA5 Omicron subvariants that have been authorized by the FDA. This comes as the U.S. is experiencing tens of thousands of COVID-19 cases and still about 500 deaths every day, even before an expected new winter wave. No word yet, excuse me, on when these boosters will become available. A Brighton child care facility is out about $10,000.
And state taxpayers out another $42,000 for unpermitted work done by an unlicensed contractor. Denver 7's Russell Haythorne with the story.
I have this dream and vision.
What started as a dream for Isabella Maria Caro Price
This is the preschool.
has quickly faded into a nightmare scenario.
It's very heartbreaking. There were times I cried every day.
Her vision to expand her small in-home daycare called Isabella Maria Cares Family Child Care has come crashing down.
It started with really small things. Like I would ask questions like, when is the inspector going to be here?
After months of construction and a nearly complete project, it turns out the contractor she hired to finish her basement, Richard Resendez of 9 Line Construction, was not a licensed general contractor and never pulled permits.
No permits, no inspections, no nothing.
Her new contractor, Jim Cope,
There's supposed to be what they call a backwater valve.
of Jim Cope Construction LLC, is now having to demo much of the finished work because it's not up to code and won't pass inspection.
Studs should be 16 inches on center. These are running 23 to 27 inches. The wiring is loose, it hasn't been stapled.
Perhaps the biggest code violation, no floating walls, a legal requirement for finished basements in Colorado.
Colorado's it's a big deal because you have bentonite in the soil. Your basement floor could heave. If the floor heaves up, then the walls move up without pushing it all the way up and lifting the joists off the main floor.
This letter from the City of Brighton Codes Enforcement confirms much of the work was not up to code. No floating walls, no fire blocking, and smoke detectors with no power.
He didn't even have the heart to think about the children.
We tried contacting 9 Line Construction at least a half dozen times through door knocks and phone calls, but no answer. Adding insult to injury, of the $50,000 Isabella Maria paid to 9 Line, about $40,000 was state grant money paid directly to the unlicensed contractor by the state of Colorado.
There was no oversight with them. They should have checked. This guy didn't even have a contractor's license. All he is a drywall guy.
We've reached out to the Colorado Department of Human Services, which oversees the emerging and expanding child care grant program. They say it might be after the holiday before they get us answers.
And in that corner will be their dress-up corner.
Isabella Maria must now come up with about $60,000 to fix the shoddy workmanship.
I don't have the money for it.
She wants this to be a cautionary tale.
Now I know better to really ask for proof of license, not just a business license, a contractor's license. And when they're doing work, ask for a permit.
You need to physically see the permit.
In Brighton, Russell Haythorne, Denver 7.
Isabella Maria had to take out a loan to pay her new general contractor for the demolition and now has no money to refinish the basement. Now, if you'd like to help us cover the cost of the renovations, we made it easy to do so through our Denver 7 Gives Fund. Just go to our website, denver7.com, and click on the Gives tab at the top and select Help Isabella Maria Cares to make a donation.
The boxes, shelves, and piles of old electronics that you see in this techno rescue warehouse, well, they represent just some of the 167,000 pounds of electronics you dropped off at last year's Denver 7 Electronics Recycling event. So this year's collection is coming up. We're hoping to see even more of you at our next event, which is at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, when you drop off electronics that you no longer need. You will find us in parking lot H on the morning of Saturday, September 10th. So it's not this weekend, but next. There is a cost involved. It's $5 a carload for all you can bring. Just keep in mind, though, there are additional charges for larger monitors, those big TVs and printers. You can get all the details on our website.
Coming up, making sure all small businesses have what they need to succeed.
There's a lot of resources out there, but people don't really know about them.
How one corporation is helping a local restaurant make their dream into a reality.
Plus,
for me, it wasn't really about how much necessarily. It was about how many Super Bowls we can win.
Russell Wilson is here for the long haul. Our Denver 7 sports team breaks down the quarterback's new contract in just a few minutes.